Well, welcome back to another edition of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse. We're going with Late Night Noir on this one. But first, I'm going to give you an update on what's going on with Bootz, because people have been asking, and some people have been asking if they can do anything, and some people have done something, and I got Blanca right here. Basically, I'm treating Bootz as hospice care. She wasn't responding to anything on Monday at all. I had to switch over a medication which sort of got her eating a little bit and got her taking the medication, which is important because if she don't take a certain pill, it's game over. So right now, it's like circling, shall we say. I'm not fooling anybody. I know we're getting close to the end. It's there. What I want to do is get her through the medication, and if she responds to the medication, then get an ultrasound of her liver and see what happens there. I mean, I'm not going anywhere out of the house. I'm just spending time with them. I'm not really doing anything else except this and that. People might not get this whole thing, but I've been with her for 14 years. I've lived here for 14 years. She's the only constant and the only thing that stayed with me for 14 years. So I'm not about to give up the ghost unless it's absolutely positively time, and I think she will let me know when it's time. I mean, I've had too many false starts with this thing, and it really takes a huge chunk out of me. And to be honest with you, with that going on and a few other things going on, I lost like 15 pounds in 2 fucking weeks. I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not eating right. I'm worried all the time, which kind of sucks, but I'm just leaving that where it is right now because I'm just doing the best I can for her, and I'm not trying to extend her life to appease my ego because I have none. Like I said, when it's time, I'm sure I'm going to know when it's time, or she'll let me know, or the vet will say we've done all we can. But until then, I keep doing what I'm doing. So anyway, let's go Late Night Film Noir, a film that basically is probably one of the best noir heist films ever made, but for whatever reason it got fallen into the public domain and has had some shitty fucking releases, and I just picked it up on Tubi. I guess somebody did something to clean it up, and I hadn't seen it in years because this is one of those things where I came home. I guess, I got to try to figure out, I think the rougher stuff, for lack of better words, was like reserved for these late night slots because they didn't want to air some of this stuff in prime time, maybe. I don't know, because a lot of this stuff I never saw outside of the late night slots. So this one is about a heist, and there's a mysterious masked Mr. Big who meets with 5 criminals who are on the lam. The first one is Pete Harris, played by Jack Elam. And Jack started in films in 1944, so he had been around for a while. And this might have been one of his really standout, crazier roles because, as Pete Harris, it looks like he has a drug problem, but they don't really say that. They say he looks sick or something like that. He's chain smoking like crazy, lighting one cigarette off to the other. And he obviously did something. And he's all kinds of sweaty and stuff, and he has an addiction to shooting craps. Okay, next up is Tony Romano, another guy who's on the lam, but this is played by Lee Van Cleef. And a clean-shaven Lee Van Cleef, who, this was his 3rd film. First one was High Noon. He didn't have any speaking part at all. He was just the first guy you saw in the beginning. Another one might have been Untamed Frontier, which he didn't have. He had a small part, and then this TV spot, I can remember. But he has a really huge piece in this thing, as does Jack. It's sort of like John Payne's the main star. He's Joe, who got set up for this robbery because they used the same florist truck that he has. And pretty much the scene between him and Jack and Lee, they're pretty brutal because he's basically slapping the shit out of all of them. And in the scene with Jack, according to the IMDb, he broke a couple of Jack's ribs. So he sort of comes across as a tough guy. This whole film is nothing but tough guys. And the third guy is Neville Brand as Boyd Kane, who has killed a cop and is on the lam. So Joe is framed for this whole thing by a crooked cop who really wants to do him in. He's beaten a couple times, and then they find the delivery van that he's accused of running in a moving truck where the thieves had done it. Now, the thieves are supposed to meet in Mexico after a unspecified amount of time, and they get a telegram to meet in Mexico and get the split. However, there isn't going to be any split because Mr. Big is a former police commandant who basically set up the robbery and waited until the reward was posted high so he could be the guy who busted these guys. But in the meantime, Joe discovers Pete and basically, like I said, beats the shit out of him and finds out that he's going to Mexico. And he goes, well, I'm going with you. We're partners. And he goes, what do you mean? He goes, well, being that I took the fucking rap for this thing, I want a piece. So, okay, Pete's like, okay, you're crazy enough to go down there. So they're at the airport. Pete already has his ticket. Joe had taken his gun. And all of a sudden, these cops walk in there and they recognize him lighting another cigarette off another cigarette. So they yell, cops. He goes for the gun that he doesn't have and is gunned down. So Joe assumes his identity. And we get deeper and deeper and deeper into this. And it's an amazing film because nobody's supposed to know who each other is, but they all know that Joe isn't who they say he is because Boyd had done time with the real Pete Harris. So there's a lot of twists and turns here, but it's just really a good film because the heavies are the ones that are in the spotlight most of the time. It's mostly Jack Elam and Lee Van Cleef. Neville Brand is sort of lurking around in the background and is more menacing than anything else, but the guys that have the most screen time are like Jack and Lee. And like I said, Payne just comes across as another tough guy, and it's just a film loaded with tough guys. And this is right after, I believe, Neville Brand was served in World War II and was a highly decorated soldier. They said probably the most highly decorated guy after Audie Murphy, something he sort of, I think on his deathbed he said it wasn't true, but I don't know. Lee was another war hero. He served in the Navy, and he jumped overboard in the English Channel to save the ship's mascot from drowning. Jack was never in the military because he only had one eye. And when you look at that one eye in this film, it's pretty creepy. But this is something that you guys really need to dig out and watch because it just shows what Lee was capable of because, like, this was his third film, and he pulled it off beautifully. And Jack, Jack had the whole sleazebag, scumbag crook, down to a science. And, Neville Brand was always menacing. And like I said, the lead actress is Colleen Gray, who I think formed some kind of relationship with John Payne during the film and did a couple more films with him. So definitely worth the look. And, like I said, it's on Tubi right now, so check it out. I don't know if anybody did a Blu-ray on it, but a lot of the, the great noir heist films suffered this whole, poo-poo public domain fucking deal, which is terrible. And the director of this film was none other than Phil Carlson, who did the Phoenix City story, From Hell to Eternity, and Walking Tall, the original. And he's one of those no-nonsense, kick-ass directors, which makes it even more fun to watch. So that's our show for today. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. Shows might be sporadic because of what's going on. I'm not going to apologize for that. She comes first right now until it's over. And I've been really having a hard time dealing with this, and it's going to be worse when she's gone, when I got to say goodbye. Because I'll admit it, I've got no fucking, filter. I've had several trying jags on the fucking floor with her. I don't want to lose her. But I have to face the reality of the situation. And like I said, I'm not going to extend her life any more than I have to please me. She'll let me know when it's time. Right now, she's been roaming around. She's been eating a couple cookies. She's back to her sort of crazy self. And I'll take each day like that as a gift. So, again, thanks for subscribing, and we'll catch you on the flip side.